From the governor's office to the smallest of state agencies, meetings are being held to prepare for budget cuts that may be the most severe in state history. As state tax income continues to fall short of expectations, agencies are bracing for possible mid-year budget cuts and even bigger cuts for fiscal year 2017.
Just over a month ago, State Treasurer Ken Miller was telling reporters that energy company officials were convinced oil prices were going to keep going up, with an impending benefit to the state budget.
What I have been hearing consistently from them for the last 6 months is they're expecting 60s and then 70, into next year. So I think 60 they expect by the end of this year and then into the 70s.
While crude oil futures did begin to trend upwards slightly, they have since plunged, making it clear that volatility rules the oil markets, which spells bad news for Oklahoma's economy and the state budget.
Essentially, the industry has been laying off workers at a very steady pace. We've lost about 10,000 jobs to date in the oil and gas sector alone, and then there's clear spillover to the state economy as a whole. Job growth at the state level basically has halted.
Mark Sneed is founder of the economic forecasting firm RegionTrack. He says the energy sector could give up as many as 14,000 jobs before the current bust hits bottom. The Mid-America Business Index for Oklahoma and surrounding states now shows Oklahoma's economy is slipping deeper into negative territory. The index for August slumped below growth neutral for the fourth month in a row. The index number slipped in August to 48.1 from 48.3. Any number under 50 means weak or negative economic growth. And Creighton University's survey results over the past several months point to economic losses for the overall state economy for the rest of 2015. The economic news isn't any better from the August gross receipts report out of the state treasurer's office. Gross receipts from tax collections were 3.5% below the same month a year ago. It's the fourth month in a row and 5 out of the last 6 where year-to-year comparisons have come in negative. Sales tax collections were down 1.5%. Gross production taxes from oil and gas were down 46%. Motor vehicle taxes were up slightly, 2.7%. And personal and corporate income tax collections were up because volatile corporate taxes increased. Personal income tax proceeds were flat. Mickey Hepner is Dean of the College of Business at the University of Central Oklahoma. He says we are now feeling the impact of the first slump in energy prices from months ago, which means the impact from the current slump has yet to hit.
The most recent drop in energy prices and the impact it's going to create on those energy companies, the effect is still to come 6 to 9 months down the road for us on that one.
And for state government, Dean Hepner is concerned it will mean a revenue failure.
In the springtime, we should see another weakening of state revenue collections. At that point, it would not be surprising at all at this point to see mid-year state budget cuts.
Hepner suspects that when legislators go back to work in February, they will be facing a budget shortfall of historic proportions.
I'm even more concerned about next fiscal year. I would expect that the state budget shortfall, the hole that we'll have to fill, will easily rise into 10 figures, $1 billion or more for the coming budget.
So far, State Treasurer Ken Miller has been dismissive of a $1 billion budget hole.
I do not know what they are looking at. I would suggest that maybe they've been to Colorado and gotten clouded in their judgment a bit. I do not see such a hole.
And while he doubts it will hit $1 billion, House Speaker Jeff Hickman admits it will get close to that.
Could it be greater than the $611 million shortfall we had this past year? Absolutely.
Whether it's hundreds of millions or $1 billion the state needs to cover, Speaker Hickman says he sees no reason to stop an automatic tax cut coming this January.
The income tax cuts that we put in place have been very responsible. They've been triggered. They've been lowering our rate. We're still going to be around 5%. The income tax cut that we passed hasn't gone into effect yet. It's going to have obviously an impact, but a minimal impact.
Speaker Hickman again points to the billions of dollars in tax credits and incentives as a place where the state should look for changes that would produce new income.
It's $1.7 billion in credits, incentives, exemptions. Those are things we continue to look at, but that's in the billions of dollars. billions of dollars. And we have to continue to look at tax credits, exemptions, incentives, and make sure that the benefit to the state's greater than the cost.
Economist Mark Sneed says it was apparent problems were developing for the state's economy over a year ago. And UCO's Mickey Hepner says, like the oil bust of the 1980s, state government was not prepared.
And my concern is that we've inadequately prepared for this inevitable decline in energy prices, and so we are woefully unprepared now to handle the upcoming crisis. It will be painful for state agencies, and therefore it means it's going to be painful for Oklahoma families.
Is there yet a chance the state could avoid such a huge budget crisis? Economist Mark Sneed says maybe.
Despite layoffs, tax revenue issues, all of these problems we've seen many times, there's still the potential that this just ramps right back up again.
State Treasurer Ken Miller has repeatedly warned the way state leaders have balanced the budget for the last several years has institutionalized a budget hole now approaching $500 million and still growing. Cutbacks that are now even impacting public safety.
Basically, I have no safety net. If I have something bad happen at DPS, I have no way to fix it. I've got to go back to the governor's office or to the fourth floor and ask you for a supplemental, because right now that's stripped away from me. I have nothing. It's skin and bones right now. And I'm not unique. A lot of the different agencies are in the exact same boat.